Hello everybody, Steven here with Cardboard Coalition, and today I thought we'd bring you a how to play of Cactus Town. This is a Second Gate Games creation, I guess the way to put it. It's for 7+, 2 to 4 players, and it takes 20 to 60 minutes. Now, let's go ahead and jump through the setup really quick, and then we'll get into how to play the game. So the first thing you want to do with the setup is you create your town. Now, I'm not 100% sure, as you might have seen on the box, this is the Kickstarter exclusive edition. It's the Kickstarter edition, the deluxe edition, however you want to look at it. So maybe the base one, if you have the retail one, it doesn't come with the board. But it doesn't matter. To set up the town, the first thing you want to do is you want to get the sheriff card, right? And it's underneath all these sheriffs. So you put that in the middle of the town, and then you take the blue backed question mark cards and you create the town. And you do that by doing a 5 by 5 grid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sheriff's office goes right in the middle of that 5 by 5 grid. All right, once that's done, you go ahead and you shuffle up these red cards. These are the basic town cards. These are the advanced town cards. You go ahead and shuffle them up, and you make the advanced town deck. We'll talk about what you do with that here in a minute. Next, you want to figure out, it doesn't really say it in the instructions, and it kind of does mention you could do it in 2 ways. You want to either figure out, based on, this is the setup card, based on how many players you have, what combination that you're going to play, and who wants to be what, because the sitting order goes that way, right? And it goes clockwise. So you decide who wants to be. In this case, we set up a 2-player game. So we have the sheriffs and we have the outlaws, right? And we just have them set up like this, but remember, play goes to the left. All right, so once that is figured out, or you could just go give people their rules based on where they are sitting around the table. I'm gonna adjust the camera just a little bit. Sorry, guys. All right. So then the next thing you do is you place, it says standees. This is the Kickstarter edition. So it comes with these, probably overpriced if you paid for it, these little miniatures, but you do have standees, right? The game comes with a whole bunch of cool little standees, cool art, and there's little stands to put them on. So you go ahead and place your standees, and how you place those standees is shown on this card right here. So, and it shows the symbols, which you can find on your actual cards, right? But they pretty much make sense, right? And as you can see, there's more symbols than we have out here. There's more than the 4 basic players that you might have if you get the retail edition. So you have the sheriffs, the outlaws, the bounty hunters, and the can dancer are what come in the base set. And then these other 3, the Lone Ranger, I can't remember what their names are. It's the chief and his daughter, and then you have the cowboy down here. Those are expansions, but they go ahead and put it in there so you know. So you go ahead and look at this card, and it tells you where to put the standees. Now the sheriff card, I'll show it to you guys really quick, has the sheriff side face up on both sides. Now, when I set up this grid, our Cactus Town, I put them all face down. And then once I put the outlaw standees down, based on this card, it tells me where to put them. This is the top of the town. This is the bottom of the town. I flip that card over. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that here in a minute. So you go ahead and then flip the card over on the area where you put the outlaws. So you go ahead and get all your standees out based on this card. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to do you want to make sure that based on who's playing as what, they get their die. This is a Kickstarter exclusive again. It just has faces. It's a number. It's a 6-sided die with 6 numbers, but it has faces. In the base game, you have color-coded clear dice, which I wish kind of would have came with this one too, as well as these. But you go ahead and give each person their die based on who they are. You give them their 4 action cards, and it gives you their symbols. As you can see, these are the sheriffs, there's the outlaws. All right, then you go ahead and give them this reference guide. Each character has a different reference guide. As you see, the outlaws have a different one, and it gives you some different things that go on, so you make sure they have that. And then for the sheriff specifically, you make sure he has the jail card. For the outlaws, they have their action cards, they have their die, they have their reference, but the outlaws also get, I keep calling them loot tokens, and loot's not the right word. I'll have to look at what the right word is. Plunder. The plunder tokens, right? They get 3 plunder tokens. And then they also draw 3 cards from this deck. They don't show anybody the cards, but they want to look at them. And this is where they're going to find their plunder. So they'd have to get to these areas to plunder. They also want to make sure that where their standees are not any of these cards. If they pull a card from the advanced deck that's where their standee is, they just go ahead and set it down, and they keep pulling till they have 3 cards that their standees aren't already standing on, right? And then any cards that were put here, you just go ahead and shuffle them back in the deck. For this setup, you don't actually hit the advanced deck anymore, but for other of the, they think they call them parties, with other parties, you might actually pull cards from here. So you shuffle the ones, if you got any of the ones where your standees are on, you just go ahead and shuffle them back in the deck. All right, now that you have all that set up, you're ready to play. Now, if you're wondering, when you go through, this is the rules, it'll give you a breakdown really quick in here of what to do with each individual person. And then if you tend to buy the expansions will tell you how to set them up as well. Now, I usually like to start off by telling you what the win condition is. Well, these guys are asymmetric, which means that they all have a certain way they play and they have certain outcomes. They're all asymmetrical. Now, also going back to this reference thing, it'll tell you how they win. The sheriff wins if they jail 2 outlaws. It's actually kind of the sheriff and the deputies, right? Win if they jail 2 outlaws, which means they take 2 outlaws and they put them over here in jail. They win. Your outlaws win if they get 2 of their loots. They have to get to their building where the loot is. They have to get that loot, and they have to go off outside the edge of town. The 5x5 is the town. Anywhere outside of it is considered the edge of town. So they basically have to get their loot and get away. Now, once anybody, and there's one for the can dance, and there's one for the bounty hunters as well. They have different win conditions. Once anybody hits the win condition, the game is over. No more turns, no more nothing. Game is over once someone hits their win condition. All right. So there are a couple basic things to talk about, and then there are specifics. So each each party has a specific thing that they do, or specific things. These are the basic 2 characters, are parties. The sheriff and deputies have the jail, right? Jail and outlaw. Then everything else is the same. And then with the outlaws, they have this action, which is plunder. And then the rest are the same, right? So they have the duel, they have the run, they have duel, they have run, oops. And they also have sneak. And we'll go over those basic ones. And then we'll leave the fun to you guys to learn how to do all the extra stuff for the other guys. All right, so how this works is each go around, there are multiple phases, right? So there is the planning phase and then the action phase for each round of play. Planning phase, then action phase. Now, to figure out the start player, you go ahead and you look at the order that's set up on here. So this says the sheriff starts, right? Once a full round is done, which means you've gone through all of your cards that you've played out, then the first player switches to the next person to the left. In this case, it will just be our other player, right? But in the case, let's say we had something set up like this where we have 4 people. So we have the sheriff, the outlaw, the bounty hunters, and the can girl, and they're sitting around the table in this order because you want to make sure people sit in the order of who they play, or you designate who people are playing as based on the order they sit in, either way. but it goes to the left. So, and I'll remind you guys that at the end. So once a whole round's done, people play through all their cards, then they go through. Now, back to the two different phases. The first phase is the planning phase. Everyone does this at the same time. So everyone has 4 cards that they deal, 4 action cards, right? And there's some things that you can see in this action card. There's the art, obviously, the party that it's connected to. You also have the party it's connected to and color-coded on the back as well. Then you have, these are your second chance shots. Is that what it's called? I believe it's second chance shot. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's your modifier to your dice roll, basically. All right, so you have these cards, and it's a programming game, so you decide how you want to play it. So let's go ahead and go through the sheriff's playthrough. So we know we need to move, maybe sneak a little bit. So we got some things. We got a duel, we got sneak, we got move, and then we have this one that has a couple things. It has duel, it has jail, it has, I think, run, not move, run, and sneak. So this is what I'm going to do, just so we can go through them. I'm going to go ahead and put them down secretly, so no one sees what's going on. You put down 3 right side up, and then the 4th card you put diagonal. This is your second chance. Now I feel like I really need to look at it as I keep calling it the second chance. Oh, now I can't find it on here because I'm trying to do it on the fly. There it is. Yep, second shot, right? It's your potential second shot. I keep calling it second chance. So you go ahead and pick your 3 cards that you want to play at. These are the cards that you're going to play through the round, and then you do your second shot. And then, I mean, all players do this simultaneously, but we'll just go ahead and set these out in any, we're just going to go ahead and put them in any order. Doesn't really matter, right? And then this is, the 4th card is always the second shot modifier. So you go ahead and put those down. All right. So let's go ahead and walk through what you can do, right? The actions that you can take. Now, we can do it by looking at the cards. So the first thing to pay attention to is movement. So let's go ahead and flip these 2 over just so you guys can see them. You have 2 types of movement, right? You have run and you have sneak. Now the other thing to notice, if you look at these 2 for the sheriff, they have a 3 in the corner. That means 3 of their people get to move, run 1 spot, so they get to move 1 spot, or they get to sneak 1 spot away. Now they can't move or sneak. Let's go ahead and just set them down here. They can't move or sneak diagonally. And remember, you don't show these until the round. They can't move or sneak diagonally. They have to go orthogonally, right? They have to move like that. They can't go like this unless there's a special card, which the can-cans have, but we won't get into it. Now, another thing I want to show you guys is you also have, see, he has a move 3 here. That right there means that you only can do this action if you have 3+ players, right? I'm trying to find the card I'm looking for. Oh, I know where I can find it. I can find it right here. So you also have move symbols that do not have the 3. That means only 1 person can move or 1 person can sneak. That obviously 1 person duels. All right, so we did the moving. Moving means that you can go 1 space. When you move, you reveal the card that you land on, all right? So if I were to move there, I would go ahead and reveal that card, all right? If we're on the, sorry, let's go like this so I don't confuse you guys, if we're on the move 3. Now for sneaking, sneaking does a couple different things. One, if you sneak, you do not reveal the card. So let's go to the sneak 3 right here. If we're at this part of the round and we did a sneak 3, we can move and we do not reveal our card. You don't reveal the card you go to. The other thing that sneak does is if you're engaged with another player of an opposite color, you can sneak away from them. You can never run from them. You have to sneak away from them. So a run movement would not allow you to move away. A sneak movement allows you to move away, but you obviously don't reveal that card. All right, so that is run, move and reveal wherever you land, and then sneak, move, but you don't reveal where you land, and it allows you to move away from an area if another party is in that area, so another color's in that area. One more thing to remember when you sneak or you run, you could never have two of your same guys in the same area, in the same building. So just remember that. Can't have two of the same colors in the same building. All right. Now, the other thing that you can do besides running is you can duel, right? And that's this card. And we're going to go ahead and shift these like this. Here's the duel card, all right? And this is the duel symbol. If you duel, you have to be in an area already with another player of a different color. Right? Because remember, you can't be in the same area. Only at the start can you have some players in the same area because these guys both start here. So when you duel, how that works, let's say we've moved through all this and we duel, how that works is you take your die, you roll it, and in this case, we got a 6, but let's say we got something lower. We got a 2, right? And let's say over here, the person you're dueling rolls their die, they have a 2 as well. Well, there's some things about a duel. We know that this would be a draw. In a draw, the person who initiated the duel wins, right? But you can also, let's go ahead and say they had a higher number. So let's say they had how are we going to do this so I can show you guys correctly? Let's say the outlaws rolled a 4, while the sheriff's deputy rolled a 3. You can go ahead and flip your second shot card. And you go ahead and take whatever the value is in that second shot area. So it's a 3, and you add them together. So that would make this modified roll a 5 as opposed to a 4. Now there's certain things that go on when you win a duel. Or let's go ahead and look at it as you lose a duel. If you're an outlaw and you lose a duel, you get stunned. Everybody else, the sheriffs, the can-can dancer, and the bounty hunters, they get pushed. So in this case, he would be stunned, right? Now, let's say even with the modifiers, the outlaw can put out their modifier. So let's say the outlaw decided to play their modifier too. You don't have to play the modifier, your second shot modifier, but you can. So they have a 3. So now they have a 7 and they have a 5. That means the outlaw has won that duel. Even though they initiated the duel, the outlaws won the duel. And what they get to do is the outlaw player gets to move the person who lost the duel up to 3 spaces away. So they can go 1, 2, 3. They can go 1, 2, 3. Any kind of order, they just cannot go diagonal. They can also pass, when they're moving those 3, they can pass them through someone of their same color, right? So you can go ahead and do that. But they still can never move them and have them land on an area that already has one of that color. So with the sheriffs, the can-can, and the bounty hunters, they always get pushed. With the outlaws, they get stunned. So let's go ahead and go back to what's going on here. Let's go ahead and say we played these cards like this, right? Let's say we had the duel. We moved. Let me get this right. We moved, we had the duel, and we won. So what a sheriff can do is put someone who's stunned into jail. And that's how their special symbol works, right? And you remember the sheriff has to get 2 people in jail to win. But that's more, you guys can read the special actions. The outlaws, it's kind of the same thing. They have this little icon right here, which means they loot. So once they find one of these buildings that they drew in the beginning, once they land on that building, I have no idea where they're here. I'd show you guys one of them. I guess I could have planned this better. But once they find one of those buildings, they can go ahead and play a card and loot. All right. Now, another thing is these cards, here we go, with multiple symbols, you could only choose one of those things. So with this card, you can either have one person duel, put one outlaw in jail, have one person run, or have one person sneak, right? And so those are the basic rules that you go through. You can move and you can duel, right? So that's how these two plays. You have the movement and the duel. All right. Now, as I said, we also have this card here. There's win conditions. These win conditions are put down here so everybody can see. I don't remember the outlaws. I believe they need to steal 2 horses plus, I think they need to capture, or not outlaw, bounty hunters. I believe they have to capture someone and have flipped 2 horses, right? Because they have to carry them away. For the outlaws, they have to take at least 2 loot and get them outside of the city. They have to move outside the city. The Can Girl, it's revenge if I remember right, and there's something else, but you can read up on hers. And then even on this card, it has the expansions so far, how they work. So once anybody hits that, then the game's over. So let's say the round, let's go ahead and sit everybody back. And we'll just do this. And we'll do this like nothing ever happened. We never knew what was going on. So we're set up. Let's say we're set up for that first go round. Now, one more thing to remember is on the first round, everyone has to move from the space that they're at, right? So that means even, well, this one has a 3, but even if we had played this one, everyone moves off their starting position, right? Now, if they all decided to sneak, they don't uncover anything. But if they decided to run, they would all move out and uncover something, right? So this is just the first move, right? All your players have to uncover, or they have to move from their starting position. Now, if the outlaws, they can choose to sneak or move, but the outlaws are looking for buildings, so they probably want to run as much as they can. So the outlaws would go, all 3 of them for your first move, they would all go to the buildings to one spot opposite of where they're at. After that, then it goes 1 movement if you only have 1, or the 3 if you have the 3 in the circle. Now, so let's say first player goes, then the next player that clockwise goes, right? And if there's any more players, you go all the way around. Then the first player, there's a first player token, which I tend to use it might not be actually the first player token. Let's see if I can get it out really quick. I tend to use this as the first player token. On here, this is the first player token, right? So after the first round, the first player token goes to the next person in clockwise order. Then they go, so they would flip one of their cards. And then we would flip one of our cards. Then this comes back over to us. Then we would flip a card. Then they would flip a card. And at the end of that, the round's over. Now, one last thing to add in there. Oh, and then this would go back over here because the beginning of the next round go over there. One thing to add in is if you cannot do what's on that card when you flip it, it's kind of like you skip a turn. You just can't do it. And this is just adding for the bandits. If they were stunned, right, and they weren't taken off the board, they can recover, which is this symbol. That one shows the 3+, but they also have another recover on here, so they can actually recover, right? And that's what they would have to do, right, if they were stunned. Or that's what they would want to do, right? Because they can't move. And someone who is stunned doesn't deadlock you. That's where you get stuck with another color and allows you to move away, just so you know that. All right, so play goes round and round till each person at the table has played their 3 cards and possibly their 4th card. When everybody has done that, the round is over. They take all their cards back. And then they go ahead and they set up again. And they choose what cards they want to put down. And this is the basic way to play. There's other ways to play to mix it up. They go ahead and put down their cards and their second shot. Their 3 movements and their second shot. We're just going to blindly do it. You have your 3 movements, your second shot. And then play goes again, starting with whoever has the first player marker. It goes round and round, like I said, until someone's reached their win condition. Once someone's reached that win condition, play's over, game's over, they are the winner. And that is the basic way to play Cactus Town, right, from Second Gate Games. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Steven with Cardboard Coalition. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.